Hi, welcome to learnhowtogarden.com, and in today's episode of the 10 Minute Gardener I'm out foraging and I'm looking for elderflowers. If you're not already subscribed to me at Learn How to Garden, there's a link directly above this film. Hop over to the website, input your email address, and that will allow you access to my monthly newsletters, and it also means I can let you know each time I put up a new film. I'm out in the edge of one of my hay paddocks at the moment. I'm actually walking my dogs. For those of you who are new to Learn How to Garden, I've got, well, 3 dogs now. There's a new one for even the people who are regular watchers, and that's Hattie. She's the one who's got a real black and white face. She's only about 18 months old. She's a bit of a devil. But back to what we're looking for, and what we're out looking for are these. Now, these are elderflowers. The Latin name of this tree is Sambucus nigra. It's a member of the honeysuckle family. And there's lots and lots of folklore to do with this tree, but what we really want are these beauties, and these are the elderflower bracts. And I'll come down close to the camera here and show you what we're actually trying to find and trying to get off this tree. What we need are these beautiful white bracts, and you don't want any that have gone the slightest bit brown. If they're like this, they've gone over. If when you look at it here, if we look at this one very close in, it's starting to go brown, leave it. There are more than enough on here to get the ones that are pure white. The commonest thing that people make with elderflowers is elderflower cordial, and that makes a really, really good sorbet. I've made elderflower vinegar in the past, but my favourite thing to do with this is to actually use it to make elderflower and rose syrup, which is very simple, very easily. It's beautiful on ice cream. Also, I know that in Morocco they use it on couscous for that sort of sweet and sour thing, so it's quite easy to sort of find lots of different uses for it. Nearly impossible to buy, so really good to make your own. And the first thing we need to do is collect about 20 of the purest white ones that we can find. I always feel it has a scent like sort of green almond, so I'll start to collect these, and I need about 20 of these heads will make about a litre for me. The other things that are going to go into this obviously are going to be rose petals from quite a scented rose. You'll need some citric acid. When you go to buy a citric acid, especially in the UK, you're likely to be asked what it's for. That's because one of the commonest uses, bizarrely, of citric acid is for people who deal drugs. They use it for cutting cocaine. Although I'm not sure if any drug dealers are actually going to say to the pharmacist, oh yes, I'm a drug dealer, I'm here because I need to buy it to cut cocaine. But you will get asked. Don't take all of them off the same bush. Elders tend to be quite prolific. So that one's gone a bit over, we'll leave him. As you pick them, give them a bit of a shake upside down. That's all mine gone over. That's Pandora. You can see I don't have the world's best trained dogs. Unfortunately, they're not stunt dogs or show dogs, they're just English pointers who you'd think at the age of 8 would know better. So I'll just continue until I've got about 20 of these heads. Right, this is Hattie, for those of you who have watched before. The brown and white one's Delilah, and the large version is Pandora. We've got about 20 of these heads, which is what we're going to need for about a litre. You'll need some citric acid, 50 grams. You're going to need a couple of lemons, unwaxed lemons. We're going to need some unrefined sugar, fair trade sugar, and we're going to need some rose heads. I'm going to take my rose heads from the roses Zephyr and Druin and Comte de Chambord, so that I get a mixture of the actual sort of tones from them. While I'm out here, I just want to show you this. This is not an elder. This is part of the hogweed family. And if you were to break this, you'll find the stems hollow, but don't use it as a peat shooter, because if you get it on your lips, it'll make your lips swell. And it's also one of those things that if you strim it, the sap, if it gets on your legs, will combine with the ultraviolet light from the sun, and you'll get quite big blisters. So this is what we're looking for. Lots and lots of sort of old wives' tales about this. The two that I love is there's a small island in the Irish Sea called the Isle of Man. And on the Isle of Man you find a lot of elders planted outside of cottage doors, and that's to ward off witches. But in England the old wives' tales say that witches used to make their brooms out of elder. So like a lot of these things, you know, it's multi-purpose really. It'll keep witches away unless they've made the broom out of it. What we need to do now is get back to the kitchen and I'll show you how to construct this elderflower and rose syrup. What we have now then to construct our syrup are 20 heads of elderflower. We're only going to use the white flowers on this, none of the green stalk. It's a bit fiddly to pick up, but it's quite nice with a glass of rosé sitting outside, which I'm going to do. Don't wash them. It's vitally important when using elderflowers you don't wash them. The taste is so ethereal, so delicate and gentle, you'll just lose it if you wash them. I've got the flowers of 6 roses. This is Zephyr and Druin, beautiful thornless rose, wonderful scent which we're hoping to incorporate into our syrup. We've got a bowl in which we have 70 mils of warm water, to which I added 1300 grams, 1.3 kilos of caster sugar, and I've dissolved those together, so this is now our syrup. We're going to use the rind and the juice of 2 lemons and then 50 grams of citric acid. It's really important that once you've made the syrup you let it get to hand hot so that your hand can go in it. Warmer than that and you'll lose these flavours. They really are very, very gentle flavours. And we just start to add it together. The first thing I would do is add your citric acid while it's warm, because that will dissolve easiest. Any chemist or home brewing place will have citric acid. And what I'm going to do now, which is quite fiddly, is go through all of the roses, taking the petals off one at a time, popping them into the syrup. I'll do that, then we'll come to the elderflower. All our rose petals are in, and we're going to work our way through the elderflowers. I always like to give them a shake. Any little bugs and beasties can come out. And the reason I've got my glasses on, this is time consuming, and I'm just going to go through and take all the white flowers, all the flowers individually, off 20 of these flower heads. So we're down to the last one, and what I do is just rub these through my fingers, my finger and thumb, just to get the flowers off. If you've got nails, you can actually just sort of use your nails to rub them off. It's almost like a pagan ritual, isn't it, making this, you know, elderflower and rose, and I suppose there's lots of other pagan rituals I could think of, but not on film, eh? Anyway. Shall we do it again? We are down to our last floret, and just to show you how I do it, I take my finger and thumb, rub them together so that the flowers just drop in to the syrup with the roses. All we need to add now is the juice and the zest of the lemon. Just squeeze this in, doesn't matter if you get the pips in, because after this is steeped we are going to have to strain it all anyway. I tend to cover it in cling film. You need to give it a good stir 2-3 times a day just to make sure all the flavours are working through this syrup. It's really simple, and we'll be back in a couple of days to show you what to do next. After our syrup has steeped for between 24 and 72 hours, I tend to leave mine for 3 days, just decant it through some muslin or some tights into a bottle, and that is your finished syrup. It'll keep for about 6 weeks like this in your fridge. You can freeze it. The things that I use it for, in Morocco, the classic way to use this is on buttered couscous, and it gives you that wonderful sort of very North African sweet, sort of slightly lemony tang with your couscous, which is great. My family tend to use this on vanilla ice cream, which they really like. You can drizzle it onto a cake if you've made a fresh cake, just pierce the top and drizzle it. But my absolute all-time favourite way is what I'm going to show you now, and this is really a treat for me. You can put it in gin and tonic, but I think one of the best things to do with it is to get some Prosecco and pop the two together. My mum, the first time she had this, and my mum's a real fan of Turkish delight, described it as a sort of very grown up, very, very exotic liquid Turkish delight. And just pop some of the syrup in the bottom. Add your Prosecco. It'll end up looking a bit like pink champagne, but it's not. But what it is a fantastic alternative to Pimm's on a summer evening. And that's just elderflowers out of the hedgerows, roses out of your gardens. Let it do its stuff for 3 days. It can't be simpler, and you won't have tasted anything like it. It is absolutely divine. Thanks for watching. If I finish this bottle, I might not be doing another film for a week.